Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video in my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I am Vijay and I make videos around AI and LLMs. So if this is something that interests you, then please do consider subscribing to my channel. With that, let's dive into today's video. So this is an ongoing playlist on RAG with LangGraph. There are already few videos in this series, so I would encourage you to check them out first. This video will be an extension to the previous one on query optimization. Um, now, just as a quick recap, in essence, the idea behind optimizing these queries is that we try and improve our retrieval in the first place, right? The core idea is that if the query is garbage, you get garbage context, right? So we want to try and improve this retrieval, which is why we want to first improve the query in the beginning itself. We discussed two types. Today we'll move on to the third type, which is optimizing the queries to retrieve some subqueries. Now, what is this? Let's say we have a query, right? And let's say we have our a question here, the user question here. Now for this we'll have some relevant context that's pulled out, right? Now that's fine. Now but what if this user query, okay, before that, the idea of query optimization is to get a larger context than what the actual user query was. So once we have a larger context, then we can feed in the user query, and now we'll have more context to search for the specific answer. The final output is going to be enriched and more grounded and informative. So going back to this question, let's say our user question is inherently has two or three sub questions, right? Let's say we're asking, hey, what is the capital of India, and what is the weather in this capital, and what are the famous food there. So you see how there are three questions within this one like user question that's fed in. Now if you feed in this exact question for retrieval, we might not get the relevant context because there's an overlap of two or three questions here. But what if we break it down into subqueries and then post our questions, or send out these questions for retrieval. So for each question, let's say this is question 1, this is question 2, like basically one question, but then you have three subqueries. Now for each of them you'll do your retrieval, right? So this will fetch us 4 relevant documents. I'm saying 4 because that's the default we have been using in this in our tutorial so far. This will fetch 4 relevant documents, and this will fetch 4 relevant documents. So now you will see that this has its own context, right? This has its own bunch of context, and this has its own bunch of context. So now instead of having one sort of document or one retrieval, now we're doing 3 different retrievals, and each has its own specific context attached, right? So now when we search for our original question from this whole context, we'll get more accurate answers. So that's effectively what the subquery optimization, or like query optimization for subqueries is. You have one node that takes in the original question and identifies sub questions from it, and then you have the usual retrieval process, augmentation and generation step. One more way where this sort of subquery can be useful is when the given context is like too short, right? Let's say the question is how to stay healthy, right? Now how to stay healthy can mean different in different context, right? So it could mean the user wants to know what he should eat. It could mean something to do with the exercise and routine. It could mean about how to manage stress, because all of them are inherently related to staying healthy, but the question as such may not cover the relevant context. So for this again, the context that you will retrieve may not be accurate. So to expand this, what we can do is create some more generic subqueries, right? So for this given question, we'll break it down. We'll not necessarily break it down. We'll just create 3 or 4 questions that's relevant to this question, and create some subqueries, right? And then you go on to retrieve your relevant context for each of them, and combine them to then go on to answer, right? So you have your combined context now. Now from this context, you go on to answer your original question, right? Because again, your initial question was too short or maybe generic and wasn't necessarily capturing all the information. But when you break it down, or again, sorry, not break it down, but when you just create a few more subqueries for each of them, you will get a greater context. So this has been like the consistent theme, right? The idea behind query optimization is for us to enhance our retrieval or enhance the context that's being retrieved, so that when we again go back to the generation step, it has more information to search and answer. Now in both the cases, it's effectively creating subqueries. Here we have one question that inherently has 2 or 3 questions within it, so it's broken down into sub questions. Here the question is not necessarily having many sub questions, but then it creates sub questions to enhance our retrieval process, right? So let's go back to our VS Code. We have the usual libraries, and then you load the embeddings. We're using GPT-4 here, and you have your query, which is string, subqueries, which is list of strings, and you have your documents, which should be list of documents, context, which should become combination of these documents, so string, augmented query, string, and answer string. These are same as the previous videos. This prompt is same, that is for your RAG augmentation, and you have one prompt for creating subqueries. So here I say, given a query, break it down into 2 to 4 simpler subqueries that when answered together would provide a comprehensive response to the query. The answer should strictly be a valid JSON list of strings. So I have given a example here just for the models, just for context for the model, right? You have the first node, which is your subquery, which basically takes in the query and breaks it down into subqueries. So that's loaded onto the state variable. Then you have the retrieval step. Now just to explain what's happening in this code, of course I would encourage you to try this out, but essentially what is happening in this code is, so you have your question here. This is broken down into your sub questions, right? So you have each sub question. Now these are individually sent to retrieval, right? Each of them is sent to retrieval. So this will have 4 documents on its own, right? 4 documents. Each of them will have 4 documents that's relevant for this particular question. Now again, why 4? Because that's the default we have been using. You could always change it to anything that you wish. Now let's say the relevant document in this case is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? In this case, let's say the relevant document is 5, 6, 1 and 3, right? Let's go to this, maybe it's 7, 8, 5 and 2, right? So although we have 12 documents in total, some of them are overlapping. Like you could see 3 is same, you have 1, right? And you have 5 and 2, right? You have 2 here and 5 here. So we have some duplicates. So essentially the document is has to be deduplicated. So that's what is happening here, right? And essentially you just combine this with only the unique documents, so we don't want to repeat the context. So that's what is happening here. And then you have the regular augmentation and generation step. So let's start with the question. Let's say what is an LLM, and I'm going to run this file. Now I won't be surprised if this is going to, if this breaks, simply because here we are expecting for a list of documents. list of subqueries. Okay, it did run, but what I was trying to say is the expected output is a list of subqueries, but this can break if it is not enforced properly, because LLMs are non-deterministic, and it can vary based on it can just vary from one run to the another, right? If it does, then you will have to just provide a stricter prompt here. So we have our output here. We'll go through Langsmith later on, like in shortly, but just let's post one more question here. What is an LLM, and what are the components? I hate this autocomplete sometimes. Oops. I'll just provide what are the components, and I'm going to run this too. It should take some time, but meanwhile, let's maybe go to Langsmith. Okay, we have our answer here. So let's go to Langsmith. Do we have the latest? Yeah, RAG with LangGraph, and these two are runs. Yeah, so we have what is an LLM. You can see the first node is your subquery, retrieval, augmentation, and generation. So within the subquery node, the input would be what is an LLM. Now it has identified three sub questions, right? What does the term LLM stand for? What are the main functions of an LLM? What are some examples of LLM? So when you see it, look at this question, right? Maybe the user would know the actual intent or the actual like understanding of this question, but the model or when the retrieval is happening, it is just going to do some sort of keyword or similarity score, right? So in order to provide accurate answers, we want to expand this user query, which is what is happening here, right? What is an LLM could mean, what does it stand for? It could mean the functions of an LLM, or it could mean some examples of LLM. Now, if you are not satisfied with this, you'll have to go back, fine tune the prompt, and maybe fine tune the examples. That is for another time. But what is basically happening is, based on this question, it is expanding on this, and we would ideally get a enriched answer. Right, so as you can see, the documents that's pulled are these many, like the unique documents 7. So ideally you should have had 4 into 3 12, but only 7 are relevant. You could actually go here and find out what documents were pulled for each, and only the unique ones would then be combined for our context. So that's what is happening here. In the next example, we gave in a combination of questions, actually, like two questions combined. So what is an LLM and what are the components? And that's exactly what's happening here. These are identified as two subqueries and then broken down. Now, doing a similarity search on the whole of this, and doing similarity search on individually these questions is different. This would give you ideally should give you a better retrieval. We can actually go and see. You can see we retrieve 6 documents, right? Now, had it been just one question, as in the previous examples we saw, you feed in one question, we would have got only four documents. That's like the best match. But now that we broke down the questions into 2, we're able to retrieve specific documents for that specific question. Again, you would have got some answer here. Yeah. So that's essentially this, the optimization, query optimization, and specifically the subquery. Yeah, so I hope this video is useful. In the next video, we'll explore some other retrieval and the query optimization. Until then, thank you. Do reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm quite active there. If you have any questions, or post your questions in the comments below, and I will respond to it immediately. But yeah, thank you so much.